What's up, my FY Fly folks out there? How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing all right. Welcome to the FY Fly podcast. My name is Hassan Thomas, aka the kid that did, and the man that can, baby. And today, we're gonna be chopping up with the chairman and CEO of SaleX Corporation, the chairman and CEO of Valeo Networks, and the founder of Greenwood Self Storage, Mr. Travis Mack. How are you, brother? How are you?
Blessed, happy to be here. Looking forward to sharing, Hassan. Looking forward to sharing.
Oh yeah, like I said, like we talked about earlier, man. I met you at the FMU Black Wealth Summit, and I was like, I got to get this guy on the pod. I said the inspiration, his passion that he has for his people, helping his people, and building us up in spaces that I didn't even know we were in, aerospace and all these different things, man. So I can't wait to get into it.
I'm excited to be here, Hassan. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to sharing. Looking forward to answering questions. You know me. I try to keep it. Fun, but try to give you realism as well. So
Yes,
this
sir.
should be a good time.
Oh yeah. Because what we normally like to do on FY Fly, we like to skip the fluff and get right into the good stuff, man. How that sound?
Let's do it.
All right, bet. So I think I first want to start is I want to know, were you always entrepreneurial? Did you always have that hustle background? Or was there like a turning point in your life where you're like, okay, it's time to take my own business. It's time to take my own ideas seriously.
I would tell you that's probably in two segments, in two parts. The first part is when I changed my environment. And let me explain that. So I'm from a little East Texas city by the name of Longview, Texas, right? Where the cows are big and the mosquitoes are bigger, right?
Was that where Friday Night Lights was? Longview?
It is a part of Texas, right? Friday Night Lights is Odessa, Texas. I'm on the other side of Texas. But anyway, so you know when I left Longview and I actually went to the military, that exposed me to a different world. It opened my eyes to an environment that was different than where I was raised.
Gotcha.
Right? And that was really significant for me. You know, the military taught me discipline, gave me exposure to other cultures, gave me a lot of information about the world in and of itself. And still to this day, I think it was one of my best decisions that I ever made was to change my environment, change my circle.
That's huge.
That's really important. I really want to let everybody know, you know, when you feel like you're stuck, change your environment. Do something different that's productive, that puts you in a different realm. So,
and to that point, really quickly, Travis, I was raised in Houston, Texas, and I ended up getting a scholarship to play football in Tennessee.
Yep.
So I did apply to all of the schools. I got into every school in Texas except UT. Still kind of salty about that. But every other school, you know, accepted me into the school. But I wanted to go where really the main factor for me, I didn't want my parents to have to pay for schooling. So I ended up going to Tennessee to play football because they gave me the most scholarship money. And I brought that up because when I speak to the high school and college students, I tell them, hey, you know, if you have to stay, you know, in your hometown to go to college, you got to look out for parents, you have to look out for somebody, I understand. But if you have a chance to change your environment and go to a different city, go to a different state.
Go somewhere else. Exactly. I cannot agree with you more.
Maker.
I cannot agree more. It does something to you. First of all, it teaches you how to be self-sufficient because now you got to do it on your own, right?
Yeah.
It also teaches you how to grow, you know, how to get along with others.
Yeah.
It teaches you to be, you know, self-dependent. It gives you some discipline because it's not mom's not there anymore, dad's not there anymore, right?
Yep.
It's all on you, right? It's all on
For
you.
sure.
And so there's some value to going somewhere else and growing as an individual.
100%. And I saw that you had, you know, tons upon tons of formal education, a lot of degrees from prestigious colleges, man. So I want to know, in your opinion, in this day and time, what's more important, education or getting experience?
I'm going to tell you it's both. And here's my rationale on that. When you are young, right, and when you are coming up through the process, right, you won't have the opportunity to gain experience in most cases, right? Relevant experience in the vertical that you think you want to go in. You won't have a chance to gain that experience unless you have the education, right?
Gotcha.
I'm not willing to take a chance on you if you haven't showed me some kind of willpower that you're willing to go through the process. And I always say education isn't about how smart you are. It's about how much willpower you got. Are you willing to complete something? And so
Gotcha.
you got to have that education because that gets you in the door. That says, okay, this person is, put the past 2, 3, 4 years. And you know what? They're committed to this vertical. They have a really solid baseline of understanding. I'm willing to take a chance on them and give them the experience that they need, right, in order to grow. Now, here's the second part of that. When you start to gain the experience, if you want to go up and go into upper management, guess what you got to have to get into upper management? You got to have the education. You got to have the education, right? It's weird how it works, right? As you progress up in upper management, listen, if someone has a bachelor's in computer science and you just got 15 years of experience and they got 15 years of experience, they're going to win. Simple as that.
Sure.
Because they have that institutional foundation, right? That shows them that. So to me, it's hand in hand. Early on, it's education, then experience. Later on, it's experience, then the education, and they are symbiotic. They are tied together, and you must do it. That's how you demonstrate your credibility as an individual.
And would you say in this day and time, is it okay if we have, because you mentioned the certificates, so if we go to the trade schools, if we get the certificates, if we get, is that still?
Absolutely. I am a believer in specified certifications. It makes you credible in that particular area. So listen, if you don't want to do the 4-year degree program, because it ain't for everybody, you know what? Go out and get your cybersecurity certificates. Go out and get your AI certificates. Go out and get your programming certificates. Go out and get your content development certificates. I mean, everybody's doing these things. I could think of 10 different platforms right now where you can go out, spend 3 months and literally have 3 certifications and then go out into the job market and command 60, 70, 80,000 and start earning. Right? So it's not about 4-year degrees anymore. Although I do advocate for you to go to school if you can afford it. But listen, my mom raised 3 boys on her own, so we didn't have a whole bunch of resources to be going out and going to school. If we weren't going to pay for it ourselves or get a scholarship to do it, it wasn't happening for us.
For sure.
But you can afford these things. You can afford to invest in yourself $200, $300, $400. That's an investment in you that no one can ever take away from you. And 100%. So I advocate the certificate program to gain that education, and then turn that education into experience.
Man, we're dropping some gems on them here today. And one of the things you mentioned, you said, all it takes is one. Well, luckily, brother, not even luckily, but from your passion, from your determination, you have 3 businesses that are, hitting and doing well for you. So I want to know, what are some common characteristics that really translate, success throughout those 3 businesses? Or has each of those businesses required a different approach to reach success?
In every business vertical that I look at, I always look at it from, okay, so where can I add value? How can I improve that process? Right? How can I do more? Is my tool stack better? If I'm a content developer, right? Do I have the right, do I have the latest and greatest tools that can help me do my job more efficiently? So I'm always trying to figure out, how do I add value? How do I make it better? Right? Because I'm thinking, if I add value and I make it better, I can go sell to somebody.
For sure.
Right? But if it's like everybody else's stuff, then I can't go and sell it to them. So that's always been my mindset. Adding value, improving the process, looking for areas that may not be as saturated as other areas, And so I've deployed that across each and every one of my organizations. And my businesses aren't sexy, right? They are industrial, grinded out. They are not the sexy ones, right? It ain't a whole bunch of glitz and glamour in what I do, but they are profitable. We have value add strategies, and we're always trying to make it better.
So to me, it sounds like, literally the basics of business, which is to find a problem and become the solution.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like you've made sure to replicate over to your successful businesses. Finding a problem and then becoming that solution, creating the value point of probably looking at your competition, looking at the other people in your
Yep.
area or your industry, seeing what they're doing, and then adding that extra value point that kind of differentiates yourself from the others. Is
Exactly.
that?
That's business 101 right there, Hassan, right?
Mhm.
Find a problem, create a solution that's value add. That makes it more valuable than it was previously. I'm not saying you got to
Gotcha.
go out and create anything from brand new from scratch because I've never done that, right? But I've found problems, found entries, and then I've tried to improve upon the process or add value in some shape, form, or fashion. Can I produce it one day faster than the current process, or can I make it look prettier in less time?
Yeah,
Something to that effect. It's always about the value add. It's always about improving, finding a solution, and improving upon the solution. Never
I love
rest.
that.
Never rest. Never
Yes,
rest.
sir.
Always be paranoid. I'm still paranoid. I'm thinking
Yes,
about, man,
sir.
there's somebody behind me that's got a better solution than what I got right now. So I need to
hmm
be constantly innovating, thinking about how do I make it better? How do I
hmm
improve it?
And that's why I love how you said that and had that mindset, because I'm one of the few people that I know that believe in, competition and
Mm-hmm.
comparison.
Yep.
I feel like if you don't compare yourself to others, you could be thinking your stuff is great,
Yep.
and everybody else is up here because you're not looking at nobody else. You know what I mean?
Well, listen. I got a scenario for you. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a football player, right? And so I equate it to this. In high school, you know what? You were the cream of the crop, right? You were the cream
hmm
of the crop,
Yeah.
and there wasn't too many people on your level, right? Maybe a
hmm
handful, two or three, right? Two, three other guys, right? You get to college, everybody good. Everybody's good. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody can outrun you and the
hmm
whole 9 yards. And so you had to start thinking about, okay, in order for me to compete, this is why competition is wonderful
For sure.
because it gets you out of your comfort zones and it forces you to figure out how to be better, whether
hmm
that's in athletics, whether that's in business, whether that's in education.
Yep.
Competition teaches you or pushes you to be better, to
Yep.
figure out alternatives in order to grow yourself. And so that's why I love that particular scenario because it puts things in you that you really do need in order to get to the next level. And it
hmm
forces you to continue to try to innovate yourself, change yourself, do something new, add things to yourself.
And you got to think about it. If Kobe didn't have that Michael Jordan figure to chase that was all
Yeah.
the way up here,
Yeah.
I don't know if Kobe's drive would have been as demonstrative, as as determined as it was, because he was chasing that figure.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was chasing that big goal, that overarching goal. So I
Agreed.
think I'm right there with you, man. It's
Yep.
it's so important to have something that you can chase,
Yeah.
somebody that you can look at. Like, it was so funny when I was so my first 3 years of school I played safety.
Uh-huh.
My last year I played running back,
Uh-huh.
and I was training in the summer, and I was only working out with my little brother. So I didn't have, nobody else to, see how fast I was getting. But I was
Right.
like, I feel fast, but I really don't know. So, man, I got back to school for the first practice. Man, they handed me the ball. I hit right down the middle, split both safeties, and scored the first play of practice my senior year. So I was like, oh, snap. I am
Right.
kind of fast now.
That's because you put in that work when nobody was looking.
Yes,
When
sir.
nobody was looking, and that translates to other avenues.
No, that's great game for everybody. And, you know, it's just so many different questions, but I got a couple more for you,
Sure.
man. And I want to know if you had to choose three keys to success. Three keys to success. What would you say?
3 keys to success. Number 1, have an insatiable curiosity.
Mhm.
Got to be curious. Got to be curious. Curiosity drives you. You're constantly asking questions, thinking about how to do things, thinking about how to solve for things. I think curiosity is really, really important.
Okay.
And with curiosity, you're never quite satisfied, right?
Mhm.
You're never quite satisfied. So, and becoming complacent is an issue for, creating a successful business.
Mhm.
2, you got to educate yourself, and that education comes in the form of formal education, right? Certificate education, right?
Mhm.
Or actual experience. You have to be educated in some way, shape, form, or fashion to run a successful business. You don't just wake up on Monday and say, "Hey, I'm gonna go out and do XYZ," and then expect for it to pay off. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen that way. You got to put that work in order for you to in order for you to grow and continue building your business.
Okay.
Number 3, you cannot do any of this by yourself. And there are certain traits about good leaders and good business builders
Mhm.
that understand that. And you always have to be the inviting one. Now, you understand sometimes you're going to get burned with the wrong people. That just happens.
Yeah.
But you can't hold that. You can't harbor that. You have to build consensus and you have to build teams. You start off very small and then you expand. Okay? So people
Gotcha.
are important. Building teams are important to your success because there's only one of you. And oh, by the way, you still got to sleep. Right?
For
You still
sure.
got to
Like
sleep.
we said,
So
health is wealth.
health is wealth, right? Yeah, and you got to be healthy. You got to go out there, man. Listen, you can't be eating cheeseburgers every day. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. You can't be drinking Cokes and eating cheeseburgers and not going out there and putting the work in, maybe getting 10, 13,000 steps in,
Mhm.
going to the gym, staying active because if you're not healthy, you can't do any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
There
All the
is
other stuff don't
no,
even matter.
it doesn't even matter because you can't do it.
Mhm.
So, you have to make that a part of who you are. And I'm up every day, I'm working out 3 and 4 times a week,
Yep.
I'm getting them steps in. I'm in that gym, listen, I like the process and it
Mhm.
makes me feel good. Now it gives me the opportunity so I can work those 12, 14-hour days because I try to be in halfway decent shape. I really do. You looked on my LinkedIn and you looked on my IG, by the way, travis.mack.ceo, right?
Yes,
If you
sir.
want to follow me, where I try to give out good business advice on decent topics.
Mhm.
You ain't gonna catch me flossing too much. I'm past all that, but I'm just trying to give you really good information on business and how to start businesses and how to think about it and
Yep.
things that just keep you going. But yeah, you got to take care of yourself. You got to eat right. You got to
100%.
sleep right. You got to work out. You got to do all that stuff because then that drives you as a business owner, as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur.
I got one more question for
Yep,
you.
yep.
Can't have you on FY Fly and not ask you our famous final question. So I'm gonna say two quotes, and I need you to let me know which one is more accurate in your opinion. All right?
Okay, okay.
All right. So the first one is more money, more problems, like Biggie. Shout out Biggie. And the second one is money can't buy happiness. Which one do you believe is most accurate?
Wow. Oh man. Oh, that's a difficult question, Hassan, because I can take that in multiple different fashions. But I'm gonna say this. Um, Money can't buy you happiness, but it sure can solve a lot of issues.
Uh-huh.
It really can, but it cannot buy you happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just driven by, you know, money as an object, and not driven by, once you accumulate the money, what good are you gonna do with it?
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna be fulfilled, and you're
Gotcha.
never gonna be happy. So you really got to think about, once you do acquire it, and everybody that's out there, you will acquire it. I'm putting it
Mm-hmm.
out there in the world. I'm putting it
Yes,
out there
sir.
to you. Once you do acquire it, what good are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How are you going to give back? How are you going to support the next Hassan Thomas that's coming up in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to give them resources? Right? Are you going to go and you're going to evangelize in your community?
Mm-hmm.
Or you going to mentor? Or you going, we all need to be throwing a rope, Hassan,
For sure.
over the wall, and bringing as many people along as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, money can't buy you happiness, but man, you really gotta do something good with it once you do acquire it.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. I haven't heard that type of answer before. So it's really not the accumulation of money won't bring you the happiness, but
No,
more of what you do with that money can bring happiness.
absolutely, absolutely.
I like that.
Who are you going to influence once you have acquired it? Right?
Hmm. I love that, man. Thank you so much for joining the FY
Yep.
Fly podcast. If you have any final words, any final takeaways, go ahead and also let them know again where they can reach you: LinkedIn,
Yep.
Instagram. Go ahead.
Well, listen, I really want to reach out to everyone. Hassan, thank you so much for having me. Please follow me on LinkedIn at Travis T. Mack. And also follow me on Instagram at travis.mac.ceo. I'm a Generation Xer, right? And so I think all of you Gen Zers and millennials, y'all need to be on LinkedIn. That's your
Facts.
professional resume. That's where you're gonna really link up with guys like myself. I love IG. I think it's a good platform. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to be professionals. I want you to present yourself as professionals, because that builds credibility. And so,
Hmm.
but I'm really excited to be here. I appreciate you again. LinkedIn, Travis T. Mack on LinkedIn, on Instagram, travis.mac.ceo. Catch me on the FYI Fly podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And for all our listeners, take some of those small gems that Travis dropped here today. Start implementing, like take one or two. It doesn't have to be all of them, because I know we dropped a lot of gems here today. But take one or two that you can apply today. And I promise you, those small habits will turn into large results over time. So
Absolutely.
again, Travis, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And all our listeners, y'all already know we need y'all to stay safe, stay invested, and stay FY fly. We'll see y'all next week.